introduces themselves, right? Never leaves a conversation without getting somebody's phone number. And then some habits, some really specific ones that come in. I've had a client who literally, she was like, for some reason I'm getting that this version of me drinks a green juice every day. So it can be really weird, specific things. So I'll tell you right now, when that client started drinking that green juice, her frequency shifted, and all of a sudden she was getting like all these opportunities and investor meetings come to her. So when I tell you this is the vehicle, it's the vehicle, and this should be bringing you a lot of relief. This is very serious, and you need to take your time going through this and doing this. And you should almost feel like you're really connected to this person. Who are they? The most accurate thing you can do is become your own role model. Like this higher self, this vision version of you is who you're shooting for, is the thing that's going to inspire and motivate you most. This exercise, by the way, quantum shifted me so many times, and the biggest one I think in human is right when I first posted my first YouTube video around that time, and I all of a sudden had these big blocks of resistance of self-knowledge, and I realized I was still trying to do the vision of the old version. And I did this exercise, and I became so super crystal clear on the vision that I wanted to YouTube. My first video, I just had a first video. I reconnected to the vision, and then I reconnected to who am I in that vision? And all of a sudden, I realized all of these traits, all of these standards, all of these emotional states, and all of these like characteristics that that version of me had that I was not focusing on at all. That was the missing. So once you've got that super clear, the version of you is there already. Point number 4, I want you to identify the gap between the you now at this level and the you at the other level. What is the difference? So to do this, practically right now, you can draw another stick figure, and this stick figure is you right here in this present moment. And automatically, you should be thinking about where the gap is and what the difference is. Around the stick figure, I want you to write the emotions, the characteristics, standards, and the habits that this version of you today has that don't align with this version. And this is going to kind of be a punch in the face, but this is how you level up so fast when people think you're cheating, okay? Most people don't do this, and this is why most people stay stuck where they are. This, having complete honesty and clarity on this, is what's going to start to shift you, because awareness always precedes action. If you're not aware of what's blocking you, you won't be able to move. These are some examples maybe that Frank might have realized in this scenario. He's been complaining, he's been dwelling on problems and not on solutions. He's been procrastinating everything to the last minute and doing the bare minimum. That's a big difference between the version of him who's at this level. He's been, in terms of his emotions, he's been more bitter, more reserved, more ungrateful, more worried, more anxious, expecting the worst of people. That can be a big contrast between the version of him who's here, who's loving, who's confident, who's bold, who's a leader. He's been thinking really small, he hasn't been thinking about his vision, whatever comes to mind, and then also standards and habits. What are your minimum standards? Write them down. And you can know what these are by looking at what you're accepting in your life. Write them down and notice how different they are to the standards of the version of you who's already at the desired level. So this is the gap, and this is why you're not there. It's nothing to do with anything in your external reality. It's everything to do with this, you and your energy. And when you change this, everything around you changes, because you're the light through which the shadow of reality is cast. Okay, it's all you. You and your reality are one. And so getting super clear on the discrepancy here is the turning point for you if you really go through this and do this. So write down all of this stuff, the emotions, the characteristics, what are your standards, what are your habits. Look honestly at your day-to-day life and see what your habits are, bad and good. And notice the difference, again, between you here and you there. Okay, point number 5, you're going to close the gap. So point number 4, we identified the gap. Point number 5, you're going to close the gap. How do you do that? You let go of the goals completely. You stop looking for where's my money, where's my job, where's my raise, where's my business. No. You let go of the actual goal completely, because that's signaling separation to the universe, so that's actually a contradiction with how you manifest something. But you let go of it completely, and instead you focus entirely on becoming version of you. Even though your reality looks exactly the same, this is all you focus on. Even though you don't know how it's going to happen, this is what you focus on. So if you go back to me and my example, I had written down I want to be a content creator, I want a YouTube channel, I want so and so many subscribers, I want all of these things. That was not my reality. I did not have any of those. I didn't even have a YouTube channel. What I had was a marketing agency, and what I had was this vision and an intuition of who I needed to become in order to access that vision. And so all I did is I started showing up as that version of me in my old reality, and it was just a matter of time, a very short amount of time, before my reality started catching up to my new energy. So there's going to be a period of time where you're in your old reality as your new self, but that's how you move quickly and dramatically to a new level. And that's why most people don't ever get to the next level, because they find it too uncomfortable to be a different self in an old reality. They don't have the strength of will to go through that and to see everything around them as the same and still say, you know what, this is still who I am now. I'm still different now. Even though my financial situation hasn't changed, even though everything around me hasn't changed, even though I'm still single, even though I still don't have a YouTube channel, even though I still don't have a business, I'm not going to let that throw me off the version of myself that I'm embodying, because that's the thing that matters the most. This is the energy that you need to have if you truly want this to work, because you didn't come here to be created by your environment. You've got, like, God created energy within you. You're a fractal of God consciousness. But when you're acting like a circumstance all the time, you're not exercising that creative power. And that's exactly what you're acting like. When you're using everything around you to dictate to you how you should feel, how you should act, who you should be, you're the circumstance. And your external reality is basically the gods that you're bound to all the time. That's not how you're going to start literally quantum shifting and collapsing time. If you want to collapse time, you need to stop acting like an ego circumstance and start acting like a higher consciousness being. And you do that by becoming bigger than your environment, by rising above whatever limitation, whatever old problem, whatever old pattern, and saying, this no longer dictates to me who I am. I decide who I am now. And so every single moment of every single day, as much as you can, you embody this version of you, even if it feels stupid, even if it feels delusional. You decide to show up as a leader more. You decide to show up in more confidence. You decide to show up more boldly. You decide to have higher standards. You decide to have different habits and routines. You take on new characteristics. And this is something that you're going to have to do step by step by step. When I did this in January last year, my wallpaper on my phone was just, I had written in my notes, step by step by step. And that's exactly what I did. I let go of the vision and I said, okay, today, how can I be this version of me? And that's all I did every single day. And the path unfolded before me, and it happened so quickly that now when I look back, it feels like a different person. It feels like a different life, right? So that's all you need to do. And just know as well, you've got to take it one step at a time. So if you're trying to become more confident, become more of a leader, it's not going to be, well, you can definitely try. You have the capacity to just activate that within you, go for it. But if you've got limiting beliefs, if you've got resistance, if you've got a strong identity built up in this old self, then you're going to have to let yourself lean into this new self just step by step. And the reason for that is your nervous system needs to learn that it's safe to do this. But it learns it through experiencing that it's safe to do it. So you have to start letting yourself show us the version of you. Take different actions, have new experiences, and then your body will learn, your mind will learn that this is safe, then it will learn that it is normal, and then you'll be able to take another step. Next thing you know, you're going to be doing things that you've never done before. You're going to be embodying an identity that you've never been before. And because this is top down, just so you know, as soon as you start being a new self, even just a subtle difference in the self, what happens is your identity shifts, then your belief system shifts, then your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, and then what you focus on shifts, and then your actions naturally shift. So you won't need to keep forcing. Maybe in the beginning you'll have a few actions that you're doing to confirm that you're a new self, and it might feel a little bit forced and outside your comfort zone. That's fine. But eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have momentum in this new self, and naturally the actions that you take are going to be different and are going to be more aligned with getting you to here. Okay, point number 6 is so important. And I was going to leave this out because it could be a whole other video, and I may make another video on this. However, I think you need to know this before you leave this video. So at this point, you've wrote your vision, you've written down the version of you already achieved, you've identified your gaps, you've identified what you're going to let go, what you're going to embody. Great. What's going to happen next is usually you will enter some resistance. So this resistance is the old self clinging on for dear life and trying to get you to stay attached to being the self. Because if you fully let go of this version of you and you become this version of you, this self, this entity basically that you've been through your whole life, this ego, is going to die. Okay? So your ego is going to then attach to these qualities and this version of self, but this old self is essentially like an entity. It's going to die. And so it wants to survive. It doesn't want you to let go. And it will throw things at you to try and get you emotionally triggered so you will stay attached to it. When you get triggered after doing this work, when something comes up, when you have doubt, when you have resistance, just know that that means you are on the path. Resistance and triggers are part of the path. I think at this point I can say they're pretty much unavoidable. So what matters most is what you do when you're triggered. The first thing you need to do is realize it's part of the path, okay? It's not that you've messed up, it's not that you're going backwards, it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's literally that this is part of the process of you becoming this version of you. I want to give it to you as well. As you shift from this version of you to this level, to this version of you and that level, the path is not linear, it's like this, okay? It goes up and down, and up and down, and you're going to have phases where you feel like you're gaining momentum and you're growing, and you're going to have phases where I call resistant phases, where you're triggered, and you feel like you're going backwards, and you feel bad, you feel overwhelmed, you feel angry, you feel sad, you feel like all of these things are coming up. What's happening is the aspects of the old version of you that can't come with you to this level because they don't energetically resonate with this level are getting triggered because they were subconscious, okay? So we all got parts of us unconsciously that are dormant until they get triggered. These are parts of us that have been created through trauma, throughout our lives, and distress, and they end up repressed and in the dark until something happens that triggers those parts of us. So, for example, when I started making content finally after I wrote this all down, the part of me that was afraid of being seen got triggered. And I thought, oh my god, this is so bad. I resisted it for a long time. I thought there's something wrong with me. This is not for me. No. I stopped resisting. I started listening to why I was sabotaging, why I was procrastinating. I figured out that it was because I had a part of it that was afraid of being rejected and seen and bullied and criticized. And I went into that part of me. I went into it with compassion. I sought to understand it, where it came from, why it was so afraid. And because I went towards it and went into it with open-mindedness and compassion, I was able to understand it, I was able to reassure it, and that released it. And then I was able to move forward. So you come down here into a trigger after you set your sights on going to this decision and you've made a decision to go to this level. When you get triggered, all that's happening is a part of you that doesn't resonate at this level is getting brought to the surface so you can release it, so you can move forward towards that level. How many low points, how many triggers I have gone through to get to this point that I'm at today, to get to this level that I wrote down in January last year. There were so many triggers. Every single one was something that I needed to release because it was not resonant with the frequency of this level. If I had still had that stuff lying dormant within me energetically, I would not be here today. And so it had to get triggered for me to process it and release it. So I could become this version of me who could energetically resonate with this reality. And so expect resistance, and when a trigger comes up, try to just accept it. So expect yourself to enter periods of resistance or getting triggered. And the most important thing to do is to remember this is part of the path. And ask yourself, what part of me is this triggering and why? And how can I soothe that part of me and reassure it so that I can release it? That's all you need to do. So I have a whole video on shadow work that goes deeper on that side of things. I can link that below. But this is the process. These are all the steps you could ever need to start leveling up so fast that people will think that you're cheating. If you want more step-by-step resources on how to shift your energy so you can shift your reality, exercises like this, as well as guided meditations and live calls, you can find the link below to my private community. If you're a entrepreneur, a visionary, or a creative, and you're looking to align with your full potential and break free from fear, limitation, burnout, and self-doubt, you can also find the link below for one-to-one coaching directly with me. I hope this video helps, and I will see you all next week.
When you finish your calc assignment, well, you can't relax until you know you did it right. You just ask Google to help you check your work and make sure you're on track. Is this answer correct? See, nothing to worry about. Hey, no, get back here. Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 43 years now working with people all over the world in 100 countries to show how they can improve it.
Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about manifestation. So this is going to explain to you what manifestation is, and then I'm going to get into 5 practical steps that you can use to manifest any experience into your reality that you desire. This knowledge and these steps are the things that have helped me manifest dramatic change in my health, in my appearance, in my confidence, in my career, in my relationships, in my lifestyle, in my finances, in every single area of my life. We'll first break down the basic mechanics of manifestation. And I'm going to try to make this quick. You essentially exist in a field of possibilities, okay? There are infinite parallel realities existing right now for what you can experience. Quantum mechanics has proven this. This is actually based on science. And the experience that you're having right now, you can almost imagine you exist like this bubble is the whole universe. And where you are located within the bubble, within the matrix of the universe, depends on your state of consciousness. So if you're down here in this red box, this experience that you're having, this whole experience is essentially a byproduct of your energy. And if you want to move to a new experience where you're having a different outcome, you're having different material things in your life, what you need to change is your state of consciousness. Because you cannot act outside of your level of consciousness. You will not be able to perceive of the ideas, the actions, anything that will get you where you want to go. I want you to think about this logically for a second. What is the difference between you and the person who's running your business? What is the difference between you
That's why I
and
tell
the
people,
person
say
who
the
is
subconscious
your
mind,
ideal relationship?
it picks
What
up
is the
something
difference
a
between
couple
you
times,
and the
and then
person
it
who
finally
has
picks
a
up and be like,
dream
yeah, I'm gonna
business?
do it.
You're both human
That's
beings.
all it is with
You both
advertising.
have consciousness. You both have will. You both have, let's just assume, you have able working bodies at a certain base level of health. So what is actually the difference? The only difference is your state of consciousness. And you can use the term consciousness, state of consciousness, interchangeably with identity. Your identity, your paradigm, your state of consciousness. That's the only difference between you and the person who's living your dream life. There's a framework that you need to keep in mind when it comes to manifestation. It starts with being. The being leads to the doing. Oh my god, excuse my handwriting. And then the doing results in the having. I can't draw from this angle. The doing results in the having, okay? So a lot of people make the mistake. Let's say you're trapped in a reality where you're capped at a certain level in your business. Let's say you're making $2,000 per month and you've been stuck there for 4 months. And you keep trying to force actions. You keep trying to make things physically happen in your world from the same level of consciousness. So guess what? You're going to stay inside this box of your experience of reality. You're going to be experiencing the same things. You're going to keep having the same ideas. You're going to keep having the same thoughts. And you're going to stay stuck in a perpetual feedback loop, which is what you normally do, of seeing something in your external reality, taking that as evidence of what's possible, and then deciding to let that dictate your internal reality, which is actually what's dictating what you can perceive externally. So when you take it a step further back, all the way back to being, when you shift your state of being, you shift your identity, that shifts your thoughts, that shifts your beliefs, that shifts your focus, and that shifts what you actually can perceive. So when I work with people one-on-one, they are shocked sometimes when they look back on when they started coaching versus say a few months later. They're shocked at how much they couldn't perceive because they were in a different level of consciousness. And when we go through the steps that I'm going to share with you today and their state of consciousness shifts, they're able to perceive so many more things that were there the whole time. Because everything already exists. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's the law of thermodynamics. So everything is already created. It's just a matter of whether you are in the state to perceive that which you prefer. That's what manifestation is. It's shifting your internal state so you can perceive what you prefer and stop perceiving what you don't prefer. And it's not about going out into the world and changing anything physically and trying to force things to happen. It's simply about changing your state of consciousness so that you can be different, you can do different, and then you can have different. Naturally. If you want to think of this in energy and vibration, everything in the universe vibrates. That's a Hermetic philosophy. Even Nikola Tesla said if you want to think about everything in the universe, think of it in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. So everything has a frequency. And you here in this paradigm, in this state of consciousness, you're operating at a certain frequency. And so everything that exists inside the box of your experience in this dimension is going to be resonant with your frequency, okay? So you're the vessel for what you're experiencing. Everything you're experiencing wouldn't be able to be experienced if you didn't exist. You are basically the light. And what is around you is the shadow of your energy. If you even think about what's in front of you right now, I want you to take stock of everything that's in front of you. Everything that's in your reality right now, your income, your relationships, every single thing. And now I want you to think about the energy you've been embodying the past 6 months, the past 3 months. Who have you been showing up as? What have you been believing in? What have you been focusing on? You will begin to quickly see that what you are experiencing materially before you is simply a byproduct of what you have been experiencing internally. And that is it. So your frequency dictates what you can perceive energetically around you. Everything already exists. And when your frequency shifts, you can shift to where you're perceiving another reality, another dimension. And then that is what you will experience as physical matter before you. The ways that this works is beyond logical comprehension. The infinite intelligence that created you and me and everything and the universe and the cosmos and every single world and infinite realities is the same infinite intelligence that we are in communication with our energy. And so it wasn't our human mind that created.
That's crazy right now.
To create a real reality.
So I just need it.
If you're building a company, you need to be using RAM. No one wants to be wasting time manually logging receipts, chasing approvals, and spending days on month-end close. This is low.
Hey, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot, man. Alright, so Ray Ganson, Belmont, say something in the chat. You go pay here tonight. So what's up? What's up? I get this one. He's strong. Alright, I don't even know how to do that though. But basically, I'm gonna show y'all this. I'm showing y'all that, but that's what I'm gonna do. You decide. Okay, I see. Yeah. At first, we do some shit different.